Hey, eighth grade. Welcome to Pod. We are trying a new format today. I've tried this with the other grades, first time for you guys, I believe. So I'm using a new app and coming to you from home. And hopefully, you don't hear my dishwasher, but we'll get right to it. All right. Our announcements, reminders to today as we review what it means to be a future ready Beaver, a future ready student in our school. Well, you need to value diversity, and not it shouldn't be something that you have tolerance for, or certainly not something that you judge people for their differences. People's different ethnicities, backgrounds, cultures, religions, sexual orientations, they all add value, and their opinions and beliefs make our community stronger. Okay, so to be someone who can really contribute to making the world a better place, you got to value diversity and think that it's interesting, and it'd be bland without differences, and those differences are good and should not be a source of contention, which they are in the world outside, but they don't need to be around here, certainly. Mostly for sixth grade, some seventh grade, we've had some just kind of real small, silly issues with people kind of rough playing and messing with each other a little bit, and that can escalate. So you guys are a long ways removed from Hillcrest. You are mature eighth graders, but Hillcrest had a nice little rule with an acronym of Kaifuti, just keeping your hands and feet to yourself, not messing with other people's stuff. And like I said, not an issue I've been seeing with eighth grade, but we want to make sure we're not putting our hands on people, certainly in any kind of unwanted way. And I know we may be getting sick of all the reminders, but we have to do our part to stay yellow, maybe get back to green sometime. And no, and I don't know if I said this last week or in somebody's pod, but I know sometimes maybe kids think that adults are overreacting, and there's kind of this cliche of like, oh my gosh, it's not life or death. This certainly can be this virus for people in our community. And you, despite what you hear about, oh, kids can't have it, they certainly can. They can get sick, and they can take it to people at home who are even more at risk of the virus hitting them pretty hard. So, especially during hallway time when we're so mixed, please do your part. Okay? It's not a chin warmer. And the mask goes on anytime you're in the building. Certainly, you guys know I give you a little bit of leeway outside the building, especially when you're not super close together. But when you're anytime you're close together, you got to be wearing those things. All right, guys, let's keep doing our part. Appreciate that. Next up, let me hide this little thing because I think you can see that. We're talking about out of our 6 important decisions that you're going to make in your life, decision one, school. Last week specifically, we talked about sticking it out. That was Sean Covey's lesson about not ever being tempted to drop out. And knowing that any kind of temporary reward you might have was similar to that marshmallow test that you see a picture of there, that it would be one small, tiny, like, oh, I have more free time, I have whatever. Um, but if you can pass that up and get through some of the hard times, there's many more marshmallows and rewards and career options and just better life opportunities to stick this thing out if it ever crosses your mind. Like I told you before, if you're ever on that point where you're struggling, reach out to somebody because I know it's challenging for some of you, but you got to stick out school. All right. So the third lesson about schooling is called Survive and Thrive, and it's based on Sean's work with teens and talking about just getting through school, which is a win for some people, but thriving is doing well. Okay. And so, yeah, we just don't want to go through the motions, get through it. So this is built around the 4 common, most common challenges that he felt like kids today face, teenagers specifically, about school. And so these quotes encapsulate that for you guys. So one of them is lots of people would tell him some form of this: I'm stressed out. Others would say there's just not enough time. I have too much to do. I used to think when I first started teaching, like, how are they're not busy, because I didn't feel busy when I was in school. But times have changed. A lot of you guys are super involved, different activities. You're helping out at home. You're doing all sorts of stuff. So that is a challenge. Apathy, the lack of caring, is certainly something that we face. And then I am just no good at school. All right. So let's jump into these. First challenge you might face: I'm stressed out. That is Chris Farley. That's not a picture of me after a bad day, even though it does look that way a little bit. So Sean's chapter is pretty long on this section, but I'm just going to tell you a quick summary about what you can do. So feeling stressed out about school, whether there's pressure from home about grades, or sometimes we just put pressure on ourselves, or you feel like there's expectations or whatever it is. You're feeling stressed. First off, it's actually not super healthy to just push all stress away. You have to learn how to live with it because it doesn't go away. You guys have stressful lives and then it changes to different stresses as an adult, certainly. Okay. So remember habit 7. Remember, this whole program is built around those habits, and that's why we taught them to you last year. So those 4 quadrants, which when I point, you guys can't see what I'm pointing at, but you have to take care of all of those. And I want to talk specifically about your body, which is covered up by my picture there a little bit. Sorry. Get enough sleep, eat properly, and don't fill your body with junk. Get some exercise, and you think I don't know if there's anything that could be more important for you at your age. You need lots of sleep. Your body's growing, and you need to put good food in there. And yes, you need to take care of your emotional side, your more soul side, and your mind by feeding your brain and getting good things in there. But if you're stressed out, and I know I am this way, you're busy, you're stressed, you're going to eat terrible. It just adds to it. Okay, so take care of yourself if you're feeling high stress. And remember to sharpen the saw. Take some you time, and hopefully that challenge isn't too bad. And trust me, you think I'm not stressed now. 8th grade's not too bad, but senior year, senior project, SATs, graduation options that's coming your way. Certainly some stuff at home that you might be facing. So always take time for yourself and to feed those 4 quadrants. All right. The next challenge was kind of being overbooked. And I apologize that my face is in the way there a little bit. I haven't quite figured out all the controls on this. But there's too much to do and not enough time. You feel like you're just always running that young lady there, and there's never enough time in the day. I've certainly been there before. Okay, some of you guys maybe that's not a problem, but I know of at least one young lady in your grade that I remember from last year that I saw one time practicing one sport, soccer, when she had a jersey from her volleyball practice. And I one time talked to her, and it was just like her days were just full of stuff, school, homework. Okay. So how do you decide what to do with the limited amount of time? Especially you guys do need like 10 hours of sleep. That's really good for people your age. So this is more Stephen Covey stuff, the time management matrix. And we want you to live in, I guess you can see this mouse when I do that. That's good. Quadrant 2, if you can. Okay. Not urgent means it doesn't need to be done tomorrow. This means you might have to worry about getting over some procrastination habits and tendencies. All right. Because if it's super important, that's this part of the quadrant. Okay, you do want to focus on the important stuff, but you want to focus on them early. Okay, prepare, plan, prevent things from coming, and knowing your values, trying to improve. Certainly, valuing the relationships you have in your life of all kinds, friendships, parents, all those. Okay, the more time you spend in 2, now you're going to slip into this a lot. Okay, these are important things that are urgent, but this is really stressful. Okay, you don't want to be in there for sure because it's when the paper's due tomorrow. Your test is in 5 minutes. If you can do those things early and spend a lot of time in quadrant 2, but again, you have to know your big rocks and what's important to you. Excuse me. Okay, over here is some stuff that's going to pop up. I think of this in my own life that there's small things that pop up in my job that I do have to attend to. And so, again, unavoidable. It may not be super important, but it might feel kind of urgent and you got to get it done. This is the one that you want to avoid. Okay, time wasters. In his book, he talks about trying to identify your biggest PTW, personal time waster. And I don't know about you, but I waste time on social media, on Twitter. I do that for sure. I've never been a game player, but I wonder about if you add up at the end of your life how much time you put on to Candy Crush or whatever game that you might be playing, if that's going to be worth it, that's where you're putting all your time and brain power. Okay, so if you want to watch a little bit of TV, binge something for maybe just an hour or two, fine. But if you're thinking back on the 10 hours, 12 hours maybe that you had awake, I guess a bit more, 14. How did you spend them? Was there time in quadrant 4? So if you're saying, how do I do this? Identify what really is important to you. And in this chapter, for you super busy people, Covey talks about being able to say no with a smile. Okay, just being able to say like, yeah, that would be fun, but I've got to make priorities there. I talked to some kids this year that had been student council people that I encouraged to run again, which would have been fine, but they said no with a smile. Basically, I've got this going on and this, and I think that's good. So don't overfill your plate and stay away from the just personal time waster, whatever it is for you. All right. Sorry, covered up there again. I got to make sure we don't do this. But now we're talking about I don't care. So this dude's motivation battery is a little low, right? Not just he's not tired necessarily, but when you come to school, It's just apathy. You really don't care. And I've chatted with kids that are this way, and I'm not one to try to tell you why that feels that way, but just a little bit about maybe how I can motivate you. So focus on, and sorry about that picture is just taken from the book, but the circle of control. So you may think, and I was talking to sixth graders about this. Remember, this is the stuff you can't control. And maybe as a kid, you feel like this is big. I get all these rules and parents and teachers, and the tiny circle in the middle is what you can control. I got to go to school. My parents force me. But this is bigger in the middle than you might think, that you have a say in your electives. You certainly have a say in how you respond to your classes, what you try to get out of them, and how you respond to your teachers. And so just remember, if you're feeling like I don't care, maybe I guess ask yourself what you do care about, okay, and clarify that, and that could help you. But just know that in terms of school, you do have a bit more say in it than you realize, and that will increase the older you get. Okay, a bit more from this part. There's a little throwback Thursday graphic for you. When I was thinking about kids that may struggle with apathy and kids and school just doesn't click for them, or they don't care a super lot about it. I don't have the magic wand to help with that, but I thought of an old pod that I had done. I was like, where was that? It was actually the first one I did, 2017, before you guys were even in middle school. And there was a few things I thought were kind of funny from there. And I was trying for this like whole Lego thing, and you're a piece of the puzzle and the Legos, and you can build a better future. And I don't know if I've got better at pod, but I kind of was laughing at myself from my first one. So what I would tell you is, if school you don't care about it, I wonder who your friends are. Okay, because that can be a little bit interesting. So don't worry about, I don't want to look smart. I don't want to do on this test. I don't want to ask my teacher for help, because then it would seem like I care. What's wrong with caring? Okay, it's definitely okay. So don't worry about whatever the coolness factor. If that's part of it, is I can care about class or school. You can for sure, because it's pretty darn important. Okay. Um, Speaking of that, if there are people who are consistently, who cares? You got an F. Who cares? Blow off that test. Are they people that share your values and what you really want to accomplish? If not, you may want to get rid of them. Okay. And then get involved in at least one extracurricular activity at school. Sean's list, he said, even outside of class, if you feel like not all the time your interests are met at school, well, we can't do that for everyone. We try to, certainly, but we have people who just have diverse interests, right? We can't all be having classes about making four-wheeler jumps and posting on YouTube. Right, Mike Torres and Mr. Payne. But there is some interesting stuff at school, but get involved in other things too. Okay, if you feel bored, find things that maybe interest you in terms of what we can offer. Okay, music, sports, okay, art, all those things. But even outside of school, find something that does hold your interest, and that will hopefully keep you a little bit motivated at school. All right. And then the last part, something was wrong with the Google image part today, but I've shared all sorts of quotes with you about the power of education and all these things. And I do believe in that. And I think that in America, especially, um, I do feel pretty passionate about education. So it's late at night here at my home, and I don't want to get all passionate and possibly cry, but everybody in America has a shot at, or should, at a quality education. You guys are right in the middle of it now, and you can use that to better the lives of yourself and others in future generations. So just know that, yeah, it's not always fun, but if you don't care, you're kind of just throwing away a pretty precious gift that certainly everybody else in the world doesn't have access to. Okay. Last one. Maybe you feel like, you know what, I'm just not good at school. This section, Covey opens with a list of relatively famous people who had struggles in school. Einstein, this handsome fellow there, I think in kindergarten, they were thinking that he was actually maybe disabled and needed to get out of school. And I think fourth grade teacher just told him that school would be wasteless or wasting time for him, useless, and that he should just be done. We know that Einstein helped change the world with some of his scientific theories, so it turned out all right, even though school was bad for him. Handsome gentleman over here, one of my personal, not heroes, but I love his speeches and some of his writings. That's Winston Churchill, if not a perfect man, but somebody who helped England during World War II and really helped keep Nazi Germany at bay. And he actually flunked all of sixth grade. Okay, so not everyone who's been successful in life, school instantly clicks. So if you're somebody who, when we talk up here, talking about up here in pod, but people are trying to motivate you, and I'm saying things about school, and you're like, yeah, but it's just not for me. I'm no good at it. Here's some things to remember. Think about your paradigm. Okay, remember your paradigm. That pair of glasses that you may have can be faulty, and but the thing is it feels like those glasses are welded on sometimes. Whoa, my hair's messy. Excuse me. Because it may have been reinforced by some bad ideas from social media or friends or even people at home that school, it's not that important, or certainly you're not that good at it, or you're not good at this. So just re-examine that. Okay, don't if you have some things that are saying, I'm bad at this. Why? It's always an opportunity to improve. Speaking of that, make sure you maintain your growth mindset. We talked about with the seventh grade neuroplasticity, hard to say, excuse me, which means that at your age, it's really easy to build new brain pathways, neural pathways, just by doing something new and repeating it a few times. The older you get, it is a little harder to do that. But at your age, you may think, man, I just don't get math. But you've all had that feeling where, whatever subject it may be, something may have just clicked after all the struggles. And so those moments may be long coming, but keep them up. So you can't just because of, hey, I was bad at seventh grade. It's new year. Plus, remember, seventh grade, we missed 9 weeks. It was a weird pandemic that we're obviously still doing. But it's never too late to kind of turn things around. So don't ever think school is just not for me. It's for everybody, and you can find your path forward for sure. Okay, here's a few others from my first pod that I thought would be good. You know what? Participate in class, and the reason I wanted to put this one on here was to ask questions. And I think that more people talk about this better than I would, but to ask for help is a sign of strength, and which is just that's a proven fact. You don't at me, as people say on social media, because some people think I got this, I got to figure it out, or it'd be embarrassing to ask for help. Whether it's you need some serious help and you need to talk to like some folks about maybe getting you on a personal learning plan of some type, or it's just I'm confused today. Don't ever think that you just have to. I'm bad and no one can help me. Okay, I have at my disposal, not at my disposal, but for your disposal, lots of talented people in the building, close to 50 staff members at WTMS, from the people that serve you lunch to your teachers, to office staff, to teachers' aides. Hey, we have everybody, and they're all really talented and care about kids. So if you think I'm bad at it and nothing can change that, it's just not true. Okay, so don't think that asking for help, even from home, those people certainly want you to succeed. That again, have a growth mindset. Look at your paradigm; it may be flawed, but if school is a struggling place for you, advocate for yourself. This is what's challenging for me, and this is what I need help with, because those are like magic words here at school. I love to hear like, this is what I need. I could use more of this, or could you help me with that? Yeah, okay, phrase the right way and not being rude or anything. We will jump for joy and help you with that. All right. Quote to end on today. It's from Clint Eastwood, famous Hollywood actor and now director. And he said, kind of a variation on something that we probably heard before, is what you get out of, he said life, but I changed it to school. What you get out of school is what you put into it. And I think about if I rated my own like high school experience, college changed a little bit, and even middle school, on a scale of 1 to 10, what did I put into it? To be honest, maybe a 6 or 7. Okay, grades were fine. Okay, no worries there. But I don't know that I really got everything I could out of it. I was too focused on other things. Okay, so yes, we want you to survive and stay in school, but we're also more interested in the thriving part. Okay, and finding a way to help you along your path and put in some work, put in some extra time, and you may find that this year in eighth grade and high school and beyond can be something that you can thrive at, not just survive. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you like this new format. I'm looking at the bottom of the screen and I'm not sure how to shut this off. So if I'm on here a little bit longer, I apologize. But hope to see you guys soon. Take it easy.